How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Welcome to another All About RVs. Today, I want to share with you a handful of things that you may not know about your RV, but you should. So we're going to start in the back of the RV, and there's always something to learn to help us use the RV. So some of these might give you information about your RV toilet that you didn't know, or the plumbing system, or the lights on the back, or the batteries. This information is somewhat, not that nobody knows about it, but this is kind of less known information that I think can be really helpful. So on the back of the RV here, we have lights on the back. We obviously have brake lights, but we have lights across the top, and those actually mean something. So these 3 lights in the center and the 2 on the ends are marker lights. They need to be there. And the 3 in the middle actually give you an indication that this vehicle is wider than 80 inches. So this comes in handy when you're putting in a backup camera. If you don't have a spot on the back to put in a backup camera, it's easy just to think, oh, I'll just remove that center light, put in the backup camera, and be good to go. But you actually need that by law. I made that mistake years ago when I was putting in a camera. I ended up moving the camera up and putting the light back in its spot, but you need those lights on there. It's funny, after you realize that it's the 3 lights that denote a wider vehicle, you're going to start seeing them on everything. The semis, the dump trucks, just the wide vehicles everywhere. But it always has to be 3. It can't be 2, can't be 4, can't be a strip of lights. It always has to be 3. This is really awkward. It's just like the lights on the side. These have to be here. So when we put in a camera, we had to get a camera that had a light attached to it because the camera needed power, but we couldn't eliminate the light. So this works out to where we can have the camera and the light in this location. It's the right color and it's in the right location. So remember, when you're replacing a light or a lens on the light or putting in a camera, you don't want to mess with the color or the location of the lights because those lights will give an indication of how wide and how long your RV is and need to be there by law. Here's another one for you with the 12-volt batteries. There's actually a proper way to connect and disconnect them. So when you're doing that, you want to disconnect the negative side, which might be a little bit different than what most everybody would think. It's actually much safer. So if you have a wrench and you contact the negative side to the frame as you're taking off that bolt, you're not going to have any sparks or anything like that. But if you do that on the positive side, because the negative is connected to the frame and you contact the positive post to the frame, you are now going to have a very large spark, high amount of amperage that can be very dangerous. So when you're disconnecting your batteries, say you're pulling it out at the end of the season or you're working on something, you want to disconnect your batteries, disconnect the negative side first, and then you can disconnect the positive side. You still have to be careful because you don't want to contact the positive terminal to the negative terminal, so be careful with your wrench, but if you disconnect the negative side first, it's a little bit safer. I'll spare you the pictures because it can get pretty bad. If you're wearing a ring or jewelry or something like that and you bridge the terminals, you bridge the positive to the frame, that can weld together and you can actually lose a finger or seriously get hurt. It's one of the reasons I wear a silicone ring. But this next one is quite awkward. Now this one is a little strange, but it leads into a few of them. Have you ever flushed your toilet and you've had air that came up, especially when your black tank is getting full? We call it burping. We know that we're getting full when we have that air come up when we go to flush the toilet. And so the answer is yes, the black tank is getting full and that's why it burps, but there's a reason behind it and understanding it can really help you out. So with the plumbing system, you have to have vents, not the vents where it's a fan in there, but plumbing vents. So this is gonna represent the straw here. So there has to be air that can get out of the plumbing systems for things to be able to flow smoothly. So what's happening is you have that vent that comes into that black tank, and depending on where it's at and how deep it goes into there, when the water level gets up to the bottom of that vent and there's no more air that can pass through that vent, that's when you get that burping inside of the RV. That's important to me for just a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously, when it gets to that point, when I see that burping in the toilet, I'm going to empty my tank. And number two, it's made me wonder about seeing black tanks fail on other RVs. Because something I do when I know that our black tank is that full is I pull the valve and then I do the black tank flush. I don't want to turn on the black tank flush before I pull that valve because I don't want to put undue pressure on that black tank itself. I'm not saying that's the reason that black tanks always fail, but I don't want to put any undue stress or pressure on the tank. I've been considering putting down a camera, kind of endoscope camera, to kind of see how far that vent pipe sticks down into the black tank. Because I can see where the toilet flushes into the black tank. I can see where the vent pipe comes out. And I do think it sticks down a little bit farther than it probably needs to. It could really be either one of these two, but it's really not that big of a deal. I don't want to put more stress on the black tank, so we just empty it when the toilet starts burping, and it works well for us. But understanding the way those vents work can help me troubleshoot some other things. So I've seen where people's vents will actually get plugged and they think they have an issue with their valve, when really it's just a plugged vent, either from debris or animals. I've seen it where animals have gone inside plumbing vents so that air can't transfer anymore. It's kind of like closing the valve when you're in the middle of dumping your tanks. If you cut off the circulation to that vent, that water is not going to flow properly through your hose. Also, understanding the plumbing vents in the RV helped me in other ways. For instance, we were getting a sewer smell inside of the bathroom, but what happened is we turned off that fan in the bathroom, but that lid was still open. We had another fan in the other room, the lid was open and on, so it was pulling air in. And the way our vents are on the roof, we have a vent, the bathroom vent is right in front of the bathroom fan. That's a rooftop plumbing vent. That one's for the kitchen, the galley tank. And this one up front is for the bathroom. So it's going to be the vent for the black tank and for the toilet for when it's flushing and for the shower. So it combines when it comes up to the top of the roof. So we've learned with this fan in the bathroom that if this lid is going to be open, this fan needs to be on. Otherwise, with that plumbing vent right in front of it, the smells from the black tank are going to be right in front of this. And so if the wind is just blowing the wrong direction, it'll blow those smells right into the bathroom. Sometimes just having a deeper understanding of how some of these things work can really go a long way and help you out in RVing. So I think that's gonna do it for today. And I hope these strange pieces of information, these lesser known things about RVs, can help you out along the way. Just that little bit of knowledge will help you, whether it's with the batteries, the lights, or the plumbing vent system. Some of these things might come in handy. So like I said, that's gonna do it for today. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you wanna see more videos about RVing, hit that subscribe button. And if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video.